On November 13th, 2025, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, made a bold move that is shaking Nigeria's legal system. While still in DSS custody, Kanu filed a direct criminal complaint at the Chief Magistrate Court of the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. His complaint directly targets top officials of the Nigerian government, including the Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, the Director General of the Department of State Services, DSS, and two prosecution witnesses, Mr. TAA and Mr. BBB. These individuals, according to Kanu, have engaged in serious criminal actions, including perjury, fabrication of evidence, and conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. The complaint details how Mr. Taha, one of the prosecution witnesses, lied under oath during the trial. TAA denied knowing a certain DSS official, Mr. Brown Ekwaba, who allegedly supervised Kanu's torture and interrogation in 2015. Kanu's team has presented evidence contradicting this claim, including affidavits from Kanu's brother, Prince Emmanuel Kanu, and Benjamin Madubugwu, as well as official records showing Ekwaba's DSS postings between 2015 and 2020. These materials suggest that TAA's sworn testimony was false, a deliberate attempt to deceive the court and protect those responsible for Kanu's detention and mistreatment. Similarly, Kanu's complaint accuses Mr. BBB of perjury. According to Kanu, BBB testified under oath that he had never met him before the court proceedings. However, Kanu's team presented evidence from a video interrogation that took place in 2021, where BBB was the one leading the questioning. The contradiction in BBB's testimony raises serious questions about the integrity of his statements, and Kanu is calling for accountability for these falsehoods. The most shocking aspect of this case is that both TAA and BBB were deliberately masked during their testimonies. This move, Kanu argues, was not just to hide their identities but to conceal their true roles in his interrogation, the chain of custody of his evidence, and the conditions under which he was held. Masking these witnesses serves to protect the government officials who orchestrated Kanu's abuse and prevents the court from knowing the full extent of the human rights violations Kanu endured. Kanu also accuses the AGF of suborning perjury. He argues that the AGF and his team presented surprise witnesses who were not part of the original proof of evidence. These surprise witnesses, according to Kanu, gave testimonies that were not just inaccurate, but were coerced, obtained under torture, and deliberately designed to harm Kanu's case. The AGF's actions, Kanu claims, were part of a larger plan to suppress exculpatory evidence, resist disclosing the identities of those involved in Kanu's interrogation, and secure a wrongful conviction. At the heart of this complaint is the allegation that the DSS Director General played a key role in this conspiracy. Kanu accuses the DG of conspiring to pervert justice by enabling the use of masked, coached witnesses, suppressing crucial evidence, and ensuring that false testimony was presented in court. These actions, Kanu argues, violate several sections of Nigeria's penal code and the constitution, especially concerning the right to a fair trial, the prohibition of torture, and the right to challenge one's accusers. The significance of this filing cannot be overstated. For the first time in Nigerian history, a defendant in DSS custody has initiated criminal proceedings while still being held by the government. Kanu has single-handedly taken on the government and is demanding accountability. He has produced compelling evidence that suggests the entire prosecution case against him was built on lies, fabricated evidence, and witness tampering. This could set a new precedent in Nigerian law, where government officials can no longer hide behind power and authority to manipulate the judicial process. What does this mean for the future of Nigeria's legal system? If Kanu's allegations are proven true, it would mean that some of the highest officials in the country are complicit in a massive cover-up aimed at wrongfully convicting an innocent man. It raises questions about the integrity of the entire justice system in Nigeria and whether ordinary citizens can ever get a fair trial when those in power are willing to go to such lengths to conceal the truth. In a country where corruption has often tainted the legal system, Kanu's complaint serves as a wake-up call. It is a challenge to the Nigerian government to hold those responsible for these injustices accountable. It is also a powerful message to the public that the system can be challenged even from within the very institutions that are meant to uphold justice. But this is just the beginning. Kanu has called for criminal committal proceedings against TAA, BBB, the AGF,
APSES, CFA-SIG, and the DSS-DG. He wants them to face punishment for their actions, including perjury and conspiracy, as stipulated in Nigerian law. He also seeks judicial acknowledgement that the prosecution's case was based on fabricated, coerced, and perjured evidence. If the court grants this, it could be a turning point in Nigeria's fight against corruption and injustice. The complaint has stirred up significant public reaction. Supporters of Kanu view this as a courageous stand against the corrupt system that has long been criticized for its lack of transparency and fairness. For many Nigerians, this complaint is more than just a legal document. It's a symbol of the ongoing struggle for justice, especially for those who have been wrongfully imprisoned or abused by the system. On the other hand,
critics of Kanu see this move as a political ploy to divert attention from the charges against him. They argue that the complaint is just another attempt to avoid responsibility and prolong his time in detention. However, no matter where you stand, the fact remains that Kanu's complaint has opened up a can of worms that could have far-reaching consequences for Nigerian politics and law. This case raises a crucial question. How many others are in Kanu's shoes, wrongfully detained and subjected to similar treatment, with no way to challenge the system? If Kanu's complaint succeeds, it could create a path for others to follow, giving them the courage to speak out and seek justice. But if the case fails, it could send a message that the powerful can continue to manipulate the system without fear of repercussion.
the impact of this case goes beyond Kanu's fight for freedom. It's a fight for accountability and transparency in Nigeria's legal system. It's a fight for the rights of the people, the ordinary citizens who trust the justice system to serve them fairly and equitably. It's a fight that could change the course of Nigerian history and set a new precedent for how the government handles accusations of corruption, perjury, and injustice. As we continue to reflect on the implications of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's direct criminal complaint, we must ask ourselves, is this just an isolated case, or does it highlight a larger issue within the Nigerian justice system? Kanu's bold actions, filing a complaint against some of the most powerful individuals in the country, speak volumes about the state of justice in Nigeria today. The legal battles of high-profile figures like Kanu shine a spotlight on the intricacies of power, corruption, and accountability in Nigerian politics. This is a reminder that the law is supposed to serve everyone equally. No one should be above it, no matter their position. Yet, when we see powerful individuals allegedly manipulating the legal system to serve their own interests, it's a direct affront to the ideals of fairness and justice. Kanu's case is now being viewed as a test for Nigeria's legal institutions. Will the Nigerian court stand up to these allegations and seek justice, or will this complaint fade into the shadows of bureaucracy and political influence? What would it say about the state of democracy and rule of law in Nigeria if those in power were allowed to get away with such misconduct without facing any consequences?
One thing is certain. Kanu's legal move has turned the tables. It's forcing us, the public, to scrutinize the fairness of our judicial processes. We're left to question how many of the trials have been marred by similar issues of perjury, corruption, and the manipulation of the truth. Kanu is not just fighting for his own freedom, but for the truth to come to light in a system that has long been criticized for its lack of transparency. So what happens now? The next few weeks will be critical, the legal process will unfold, and the world will be watching. Kanu has thrown down a gauntlet, and now it's up to the judicial system to decide how it will respond. Will the complaint be dismissed, or will it lead to real consequences for those accused of subverting justice? This case doesn't just affect Kanu. It's a reflection of how the Nigerian government handles dissent, opposition, and criticism. It highlights the lengths some will go to in order to maintain control and suppress those who challenge the status quo. It's about power, influence, and the constant struggle for justice in an environment where transparency is often in short supply. But there's another layer to this: public opinion. Kanu has supporters who see this complaint as an act of defiance against an unjust system, while his critics view it as another attempt to escape accountability. Both sides are using this case to make larger points about justice and governance. Regardless of where you stand, the discussion is essential. It's sparking debates about the integrity of the legal system, the role of government agencies like the DSS,
and the responsibility of the judiciary to ensure fair trials for all citizens. The outcome of this case could shape future legal proceedings in Nigeria, especially when it comes to high-profile cases involving political figures. If Kanu succeeds in proving that the prosecution's case was built on fabricated evidence and perjury, it could set a precedent for future defendants who feel their rights have been violated by corrupt officials. It might empower others who are wrongfully imprisoned or persecuted to take similar steps to demand justice. But if the system fails to act, it could embolden those in power to continue using similar tactics to manipulate the law and protect their interests. This is why it's so important for the public to stay informed and engaged. We have a role to play in holding those in power accountable.
The more we talk about cases like this, the more pressure we can apply for meaningful change. And as citizens, we have a responsibility to keep pushing for a system that works for everyone, not just for those who have the power to manipulate it. And as this case continues to unfold, let's not forget the larger implications for Nigeria's democracy. The integrity of the judicial system must remain intact if citizens are to have trust in the institutions that are supposed to protect their rights. This case is a critical test of that trust. If you've been following along, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think of Kanu's bold move to file this criminal complaint? Do you believe he has a real chance of holding these officials accountable?
Or do you think it's just another political move in the ongoing struggle for power in Nigeria? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really interested to hear your perspective on this. And if you want to stay updated on this case, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. This is one story we'll definitely be watching closely as it continues to unfold. As always, thank you for watching. Let's continue to demand justice, stay informed, and keep pushing for change. I'll see you in the next video.